And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Pug Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Oh, I want to talk about Cain Velasquez. Come on.
I think you're in luck today because we got the biggest WWE dork in the business, Mr. Podcast Dave right here. He's a huge WWE fan.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, I look at this and I was shocked that he came out. You know, when he came out with Rey Mysterio. That was kind of cool because it was the whole beatdown of Rey Mysterio. Cool. And the fact that they brought him out and did that whole thing with Brock, and I'm like, fucking A, man. He signed with the WWE. That's awesome because he's been doing just an incredible job with his, I think it's AAA, Mexican Lucha Libre wrestling and stuff. Yeah. And then I hear he didn't really sign. I'm shocked. And I'm like, it kind of doesn't make sense. Why would the WWE bring him out, put him on stage against their, star, and have him do like the beat down, make Brock run away like he's afraid, when we all know really he is. If it came down to Cain, I'm just going to be honest. And I was shocked when he came out saying, no, I haven't signed yet.
Well, they're playing the whole Latino card because Rey Mysterio got his ass kicked by Brock Lesnar 2 weeks ago on Monday Night Raw. And
I heard that.
And then, so now they're playing...
even a non-wrestling nerd like me.
So they're playing the angle now that Kane's the godson to Rey Mysterio's kid. The goddad to Rey Mysterio's kid. So that's the angle, is that he came out to support his Latino friend, who he's the godfather to his son. And now he's going to basically... I think he's gonna sign. The reports are is that he's either close to or has signed. But there's a deal being reached. So
when I talked to Dave about this, he was saying though too that Fox is making a big push because they want to start pushing SmackDown to Fox, right?
Yeah, it's already on Fox.
Cain coming in and doing that. Cain has a relationship with Fox, obviously, given that he was one of the biggest Fox draws, the very first one. Even though he didn't win that fight, but it was still I remember that fight. Huge fight, So,
oh yeah.
And so Friday night was the premiere on Fox for SmackDown. So they had The Rock there, they had The Undertaker there. The Undertaker wasn't there, but they had Cain on. Brock was there. Brock won the title on Friday night actually as well. So there was a bunch of big things that happened.
And then the other thing too is it was here in San Jose. Is what?
Got it. That makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. Cain's here local, plus Brock being in town. I think they've had this kind of plan for a while, given the fact that San Jose, around the time of doing the Fox deal, Cain no longer really fighting, and doing what I always call it the Nacho Libre thing, where spinning in the air and doing his thing. But man, does he in the what's it called, Lucha Libre?
Yeah.
In the Lucha Libre, he looked phenomenal, man. And a guy that big,
he looks great.
What's the move you called it? I want to see if it's the same way Dave calls the move, because I don't know what it is. What's the move you called it yesterday when Cain did the jump?
Oh,
on the scissor
move,
legs?
Hurricanrana.
Yeah.
Is it called the Hurricanrana?
Yeah,
Hurricanrana.
Dude, he knew it. He knew it.
Fucking A, I know it, man. Come on, baby.
A guy who's 250 jumping in the air like.
Hey, seriously, and you can see Rey Mysterio's the guy that brought a lot of the Lucha Libre wrestling to WWE, and you can see how small he really is when he's standing next to Cain. Because most guys that are doing all of those types of maneuvers, they're 160. They're athletic guys, but they're just not big guys because, man, you could really hurt someone with some of those maneuvers, and they've got to go with it. And to have a guy as big as Cain, 250, 45, 50 pounds, doing those maneuvers, it just shows how athletic he is. I don't want him to get hurt. No. It's he's taking a chance with it. But goddamn, he's good at it. So he knows what he's doing.
He's someone that has always been able to just after repetition. He's somebody that also I feel like he learns by repetition. He didn't used to throw head kicks and then he hurt his hand, broke his hand in one of his fights. And Javier used to tell him, "Okay, 1,000 kicks right leg, 1,000 kicks left leg, and you got to get it done in the 2 hours of training that we have." So he'd be out there for the whole 2 hours just throwing right leg 1,000 kicks, left leg 1,000 kicks. I'm like, man, That's someone who's just dedicated to what he does, and so that lets you know anyone that puts their mind to it. If he puts his mind to it, he's going to get it done. And he's put in the work, obviously. I mean, for him to be able to do the moves that he was able to do in the Nacho Libre stuff, then to me, I think WWE is a prime spot for him, especially for them. It's name recognition with against Brock, and then any of the other guys that want to come over from from MMA. It kind of just works him right in.
You know, Colby's talked about it as well.
You look at Colby's got the mouth for it. He's definitely got the shtick down. He's got the heel just absolutely dialed in. Yeah. But I don't think he's got that. I don't know. If you're a smaller guy, you have to be a gymnast.
Yeah.
To be good in professional wrestling, you have got to have all of these flips down and all the ability to take, going off of very high things onto things that kind of help break your fall. But trust me, it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking big falls. The thing that I look at is the guy who's the geek master of professional wrestling is your boy DC.
Yeah. And
now I could see where DC makes the crossover because he says this is his last fight coming up. And he makes the crossover and he becomes tag team partners with Cain.
Yep.
Come on. That's awesome.
I mean, I can totally see that happening, and I can also see King Mo jumping in there as well because he's another geek.
King Mo would be, he's losing a lot of weight.
He is.
He is. Seeing him in Temecula. I mean, I'm looking. I said, dude, you got to eat. Yeah. He's got the one disease going, and he says, I'm eating, John. He's just sucking down. He looks good, but man, he could be a welterweight right now.
Wow.
I'm not kidding. He's that thin.
I haven't seen him since Connecticut. I think I saw him out in Connecticut out there. I think he was there. Anyways, yeah, he did look like he lost a little bit of weight, but it's one of those things. Like my weight has stayed the same since I kind of stopped fighting, but the muscle tone has gone away. You don't physically look as big. Everyone's like, oh, you lost so much weight. And I'm like, no, I actually weigh the same. Just the muscle went from muscle to fat. And it just
baby.
It doesn't look the same.
Hey, what are you talking about, man? Look at this. like a Kobe beef cow, man.
Smother some barbecue sauce on that, buddy.
Oh, Jeez.
Man. Yeah, I think it's a great thing for the guys that are making the transition. I'm excited for Cain to see where it all leads. DC and the potential is definitely there. I'm surprised we never saw Chael ever do anything with them.
Yeah, that was what I really thought.
Yeah,
Chael's so good with the gift of gab, being able to to stick with something. He comes up with lines that are just outstanding. Chael's the closest thing to either, I guess, Steve Austin or The Rock from MMA.
Yeah.
Connor's got a gift as far as he does it differently, but Chael's is a shtick, but it's a believable shtick. And it's good. He's great at it. When he says, he goes, there's 6 billion men. He comes up with that, and you look at him and go, where the hell did you come up with that, man?
Yeah.
He's just great.
I've said this for a while now, but I feel like Connor's trash talk wouldn't have been so popular had first he not been like the first big Irish star to come out of Ireland. And then on top of it, the accent. So the two things, you have a whole country behind you that's willing to back everything you say because they don't give a fuck because you're from their country and that's how they are. And I finally got a taste of what it was like to be someone there as a fighter when we did Bellator, 2 weeks ago there. And it was Peter Queally and Strabanimal and James Gallagher and those guys. Yeah, there you go. Crosby.
Big Daddy Kiefer.
It was just awesome to see the excitement, the energy that the crowd had behind him. But I've always felt that Conor McGregor wouldn't have had the success. Being a fighter, yes, he would have, but not as much success had he not been from Ireland and had he not had the accent. Because I feel like even it showed a little bit too with Michael Bisping. Like his accent carried over, and the way that their slang is, the way that they talk, the way that they trash talk. Like, who the fuck is that? Like
who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah, who the fuck is that guy? Those are the things that stick around because the rest of them been like, who the fuck is that? Like everyone been like, oh, okay. But when he said it in his accent with "fuck" versus "fuck," everyone went shit. They were making shirts for it. They were making memes out of it. people exploded, and I feel like certain people just have it. And the reason why I'm bringing this up right now is because we're going to roll right into Adesanya. He just has the it factor. He has it from the dance moves he showed on his walkout.
Come on. You got to be honest. Look at, I love Dave Rickles. Dave Rickles, I thought, had the second greatest walkouts of all time. Genki Sudo is the king. Genki Sudo had one from when I think he was fighting at Deep or Heat. I can't remember. He had an entire dance crew out there, much bigger than Adesanya's.
Yeah.
But it was a smaller version on a grander scale.
Yeah.
Because you think 57,000 people.
Insane.
All were tuned in to Israel Adesanya. When those guys came out and started doing the thing, they're probably thinking like, what the hell? And then you see Adesanya coming out and they start doing their little thing. And he carried that all the way to the cage, all the way into the cage. And then he carried it into his fight. You got to be absolutely impressed with the style bender and what he's done. I mean, he's only been there for a year and a half. I did his kickboxing championship fights with Glory. And, he was fantastic there. He lost the fight that I did, and I thought he actually won. I thought he got ripped off. But he's so good. And we talked just for a little bit about MMA back then. And he was saying, I'm going to be doing MMA. And I told him, I said, well, be sure, look at different range. It's a different game. You can't strike the same way. Be sure you start working. He goes, John, I've been working on my wrestling for the last 5 years. Don't worry about it. That was his comment. Don't worry about it. I'm like, okay, I'll shut the fuck up. But he is the closest thing, in my estimation, and he does some of the same things that Muhammad Ali did. And I'm not saying, as far as the gab and everything, he's got a little bit of that going too, but his maneuvers in the cage, the way he fights, the lean back that he brings in. Ali used to do the lean back all the time and lean back and come forward, and instead of throwing a left hand because his body's played that way, lead right hand and then follows it up. And Adesanya does the same maneuver, same thing. And I'm watching, I'm going, God damn, he's like the second coming of Muhammad Ali in MMA. He's unbelievable.
I just looked, like you brought it up, is the 57,000 people in the arena. You got your guys that come out, and I was expecting the guys to start dancing around him. And then him just kind of walk to the cage. Instead, no, he comes out. He does the whole routine, does the one-handed cartwheel, stands up, and still calls it on. I mean, at any moment in someone's career, for them to be shitting themselves, that was the moment. And he wasn't showing that at all.
No!
And
he was so calm.
And so the fact that he was so calm going to that, I said either he's just lost his fucking mind or he really, really knows that he is this good. And I think in that fight, he just understood. I am probably, he just realized he is the best. In that weight class, I think as of right now, he's considered to be the best. He's the undisputed champion, and there's nothing you can say about it. And I thought he performed at the highest level from the walkout to the dance moves to the in-cage performance was absolutely amazing. Everything about him that night was beautiful. I thought he did a really good job of, like you said, the Muhammad Ali stuff where he kind of fades back a little bit and then throws the counter, and he just lets his head movement do the work. So he just leans back on that back leg and then comes back with a good counter. He just also had some good, his timing, his precision was very on point. It reminded me a little bit of the Conor McGregor where he kind of like keeps the range with the wider stance, and I'm not trying to, I am kind of comparing him to Conor, but they're not the same. I'm just simply saying that wider stance. And the reason why I'm going to get it, because you and I have had this conversation before. I don't want to quite put him in that category yet of John Jones, Conor McGregor, but we're starting to see the guys that have the wide stance that are starting to take over, that Lyoto Machida style stance. Look at Patricio Pitbull from Bellator. Okay, he has started to kind of take that stance. Henry Cejudo, Triple C, he's taking that stance. There's something behind that stance. They're trying to make even the short guys, who Patricio and Cejudo are, the short guys, they're taking that stance and they're having success with it. They're having a ton of success with it.
What they're having success with it, when this has always been, when MMA started, it was, hey, you cannot blade your body like a boxer, because look, a boxer is blading his body close to, it's obviously the footwork's different, but he's blading his body because he's cutting his body in half and allowing you only to be able to use one of your hands basically to attack him. Mm-hmm. And when you start looking at the karate stance that Machida has, and then you see Conor McGregor does do the same thing. John Jones employs it, but he employs it in a different way with his footwork. But Adesanya is very much, you're absolutely right, very much like that. I thought the Adesanya, Robert Whittaker fight, I thought Whittaker did a lot of good things, and I don't want to put him down in any fashion. He was an outstanding champion. I thought he was a classy guy in defeat in this fight, because obviously he's crushed by it, but handles it like a man and a true winner. But he had his moments. He was doing good things, and I think he looked at what happened with Kelvin Gastelum against Adesanya. He tried to take some of those things that he thought Kelvin was successful with, but it's hard to get that style when you don't have a guy that can mimic exactly what someone does, not in training. And again, as you've always said it, and it's so true, training is done at a speed that is not meant to hurt you. And so it's very hard to replicate that in-ring speed that happens in a real fight. And I thought that the fight came about and looked very similar to what happened when Conor McGregor fought Eddie Alvarez. Conor came up and fought Eddie Alvarez for the lightweight title, and Eddie was trying to lunge in and attack Conor, and Conor was just absolutely in control of the range and distance of the fight, and would just lean back a little bit, let that shot go 1 inch from him, and then step forward and land that left hand. Well, Adesanya was doing the same thing in that fight with Whittaker. Whittaker was extending, sometimes overextending, but even when he didn't overextend, he was still taking shots. And the first round, that last shot he took, that ended that. Man, if that round was long, 15 seconds longer, I don't know if we go to a second round. He was hurt badly, and you could see it when he got up. Adesanya just had the range on him, and he was uncomfortable with the range, and you could see how relaxed Adesanya was with it, and how he was developing his counters and his offense off of it.
Yeah, I think people are going to be quick to dismiss Whittaker now. Oh, he lost that, which is crazy because I believe he's 28, 29 years old. I think this is not going to be the last time we see him probably fight for the title. He may fight for it again, and he probably would even fight for it again soon with a big win over someone. There's that, but then also too, when I take fights like this, and I'm going to be the negative Nancy because that's kind of what I am, I think, is I sometimes will blame the corners, and I blame the corners for the coaching in the corner. What your corner should have said was, you got to find something, maybe kind of mix it up. There was never really any wrestling involved. You should have maybe tried it in the beginning of the second round. At least make Adesanya think about the takedown or think about the clinch against the fence or press him there and then go ahead and break. Because a 1 minute sometimes is not enough to get your wits back about you. And then remember what your corner said. He got dropped right at the end of that first round, and he needed to basically get his wits back about him. And I felt like in the corner should have been telling them, hey, let's punch our way into the clinch. Let's press him against the fence a little bit, do a little bit of dirty boxing and some kneeing, whatever. And then when you feel ready for it, let's break away and let the hands go and continue with our game plan. Or let's maybe try to get a takedown and get on top and just wear him out. Make him think about something else. I think that the game plan in the first round, it just showed that they were, like you said, they were taking parts of what Gastelum did well, and they were trying to implement it. But I feel like Gastelum's maybe a little bit faster than Whittaker.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Really? No, I don't.
I felt like Gastelum was able to hide behind, maybe like dipping his head and coming in and landing some shots.
I think Gastelum has better head movement and is more elusive inside coming into range. Whittaker's head is straight down the middle, and that's a problem, and that's what Adesanya saw is, he leaves his head right down the center line. It's an easy shot for me. Okay. But I actually like the speed of what Whittaker does. He's got fast hands. He's got quick kicks. They come up fast. It was just that he was attempting, 73-inch reach compared to an 83-inch reach. That's a lot to get past. And so if you're not the guy that's going to sit there and say, I'm going to go and I'm going to work towards a clinch, and you're going to try to kickbox, a world champion kickboxer. That's going to be a rough one. That's Joe Frazier's style, man. You're going to take a lot of lumps to get in there and do your work.
But you gotta, I think, and I put, like I said, I'm going back to putting a little bit of the blame on the corner. You gotta make the adjustments in between rounds.
Yeah.
And I understand the first round, you're waiting for the round to end so you can make the adjustments. But the round was close. I think the first round was close.
Absolutely, until the end.
And then he got dropped. And okay, look, now we're down. Let's get our wits back about us. Let's make some adjustments. Let's try to maybe threaten the takedown a little bit. Let's mix it up a little bit more. And I don't recall hearing that ever come out of the corner's mouth.
I don't think Whittaker ever even attempted to take that.
Yeah.
He didn't even look
don't
like he thought about it.
No. And so I feel like those type of adjustments need to be made. I blame some of the adjustments between the corners. Had he come out and shot and didn't get it and then eventually got clipped, I'd be like, all right, well, look, they tried something new to mix it up, didn't work. But you could tell, it seemed like, and like I agree with what you're saying, it didn't even seem like it was on his mind. It was like, let's just go out there and just keep doing what we're doing, and let's just hope for the best.
Yeah, well, you never know, but it looked like the game plan was, hey, we're going to stand with this guy. And that's where I look and I go, God, that's like saying I'm going to out wrestle, Khabib. I'm going to out freaking strike Conor. Yeah, that's probably not the smartest game plan. I always want to go, my old man, you say, never fight another man's game, never play another man's game. And it's like, if he's got a weakness and you're not exploiting that weakness, you're not very bright. And sometimes you can get drawn into a fight that you didn't plan on fighting that way, and your emotions take over and things like that. And maybe, Whittaker's emotions were high, but like you said, it was the composure of Adesanya with 57,000 people there. Because you can look, man, that dude, he can fight at that pace that he was with Whittaker in. He could go 20 rounds like that. Wow. He had no strain. He was relaxed. He wasn't exerting himself in any fashion, and just lightly touching him at times and then cranking it over and giving a big shot, a la the Nick Nate Diaz type of fighting. And that's what you do if you're throwing heated missiles the entire time. You're going to burn yourself out. He was just trying to touch him.
So, like I was saying earlier, though, talking about when you're talking about the distance and the range, the Eddie Alvarez and Conor fight, guys that kind of rush in, and we're seeing a lot of these guys now make the transition over. A guy that fought in Bellator on Friday night was Yamauchi. Yeah. He has a very similar style. He fought Saad Awad, and he has that style of like the wider stance, but like you and I talked about, he doesn't shoot. Guys put themselves in the range of like they want to wrestle and grapple with him, and he leads Bellator with the most submissions ever in Bellator history. He's
got the greatest gift of all. He's got the Jedi mind meld, man. He looks at the guy, goes like that, and all of a sudden they're going, I'm going to take you down. Yeah. It's like he's like, thank you. Yeah. It's like he doesn't have a great wrestling background. He really doesn't even work on. I know, like he knows a double leg takedown. He knows a single leg takedown. But you watch his fights, he never even really goes for the takedown. He allows his opponent to take him down. And they all do it because they all think, I hurt him or something like that. And he just goes down. And I had asked, Syed Awad before the fight, I said, so, obviously, in my mind, you want to be the stand-up guy in this. You want to be the guy that's on your feet and dictating the pace and range of this fight. I go, if it goes to the ground, are you going to work to just get yourself up? He goes, no. He goes, I have no fear of being on the ground with him. I go, you have no fear of being on the ground with him? And he goes, not at all. He goes, look, John, my last submission was 10 years ago, and it was because I actually had a bone sticking out of my hand, and the guy squeezed my hand, and I couldn't take it, so I tapped out. Other than that, I don't get submitted. And when he hit the ground, and you saw, he went for the armbar, you saw Awad, he defended, got his head back inside, and then decided, I'm going to go for these hammer fists. And I was thinking, no, don't do that. Yeah. And he goes to the end. It's right away. Yamauchi adjusts. He did everything perfect. You can look at everything he's doing. You look at his legs. Look at where his knees are pinching. Look at his hip extension. It's like, that's technically how you do an armbar. And it was just perfectly done. And he's got that thing about the guys that are going to give him trouble. If you are a long, lanky fighter a la Saad Awad, man, you got to be very careful. And the guys who are going to give Yamauchi trouble are the guys that are built like a bulldog. Yeah. You know, Chandler gave him some problems on the ground. A pit bull would give him some problems because they're just not going to extend that limb out. Yeah. And so that's the harder guy to submit for him. But he went against Adam Piccolotti, who I have a ton of respect for. He's a top level, real black belt, real wrestler. He's got a fantastic grappling game, and took Yamauchi down. And Yamauchi quickly got his back and choked him, to the point he had to tap. And it's like, if you can do that to that level of guy, yep, you're special. And now he's got the record for the most submissions in Bellator.
Yeah, I trained a long time with Justin Wilcox and a bunch of other guys that are kind of shorter and stout, and those are the worst guys to try and submit.
First off, Justin Wilcox was not stout. Justin Wilcox was built like a brick shithouse. Okay? Was. God put muscles on that guy's eyeballs.
It was crazy. It was insane. When people would see him at the weigh-ins, they'd be like, oh, what are you here for, like a bodybuilding competition? It's so big. Oh. So big.
Dude, I looked at that guy the first time I read from him. I said, who the fuck put that guy together? He's just unbelievable.
Can you imagine that he used to be like 240?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I could, because you know what? He looked about 220 when he fought.
Yeah.
He freaking looked huge. I couldn't believe he would make one, because he started at 155 and then went to 45.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know, you got hollow bones.
It's just those guys like that. That body style is going to give a good jiu-jitsu guy problems, especially after they get sweaty. So Chandler, it's only common that Yamauchi would have a hard time with someone like Chandler or Patricio or someone like that along those lines that are shorter and stockier. But you give somebody like Adam, like I agree with you, Adam Piccolotti is an amazing grappler, phenomenal wrestler. He does really good in the scrambles. But once he got connected and latched on with Yamauchi, there was nowhere for him to go. Yamauchi just sunk in the choke, got to the back, and it was like, wow, this is done. I couldn't believe it. It happened quick, too. It's just one of those.
Real quick.
Yeah.
It's fantastic performance by Yamauchi. What's he, like 23-4? Now 24-4?
Yeah.
He's dangerous. You got to watch. It almost comes down to that whole thing. It's just about matchups. Because I look at Adesanya, we've been talking about him, and I would love. There's two guys in Bellator. One used to be with the UFC, Gegard Mousasi. Mm-hmm. At 185, he would give Adesanya hell.
Yes.
Or the guy who's the champ. Look at if Lovato got. Not saying he's going to. Not saying anything about it. But trust me, that fight hit the ground. It's over.
Yeah.
Adesanya does not have the skills to stop what Lovato Jr. does.
No.
And so. That's the kind of matchup that, we're going to have to see. I really don't see anybody in the UFC at this moment in the middleweights that brings that skill set. You got Yoel Romero, great wrestler, but he doesn't wrestle. He stands up and bangs, and I think he kind of fits into, if he doesn't wrestle, he fits into exactly what Adesanya would want. You can look at other guys. Weidman's moving up to light heavyweight. He's not going to be a middleweight. Luke's either light heavyweight or whatever he's modeling or whatever he's going to do. Who's the guy at middleweight there that's going to be able to bring the skill set that's going to challenge Adesanya? It's crazy. Yeah. There's really not a lot.
I think the weight class jump, too, from 70 to 85 is so big that you won't see any of the guys at 170 trying to come up to beat him. There was a little bit of talk about GSP potentially. But I don't think so. GSP's, I think, waiting for the Khabib fight, if that fight was to ever have the potential of happening. If he was going to fight again, I think it would have to be Khabib. I think that's the guy that GSP was looking to fight. Outside of that, who, like we were talking about, outside, who would you think would be next? Yoel Romero or Costa's supposed to be next, right?
Yeah, Paulo Costa was supposed to be next. Borrachina's the guy that they're talking about, and he beat Yoel, and is that a split decision? I can't remember. But beat Yoel, and to me, he's tailor-made for Adesanya. Paulo is not a ground fighter. He is a stand-up fighter. He's, look, he looks fantastic. I'm not saying anything about it. He looks like a Greek god. Everyone looks at him and goes, oh my God. It's the body style of the Adesanya, the body style of the John Jones, the Anderson Silva. Yeah. These are the body styles, the Gegard Mousasi. These are the body styles that make the best MMA fighters there are. Not the guys that are just jacked with muscles. That's not the guy, man. It's the guy that's got that long, lean look. He's got the long levers. He's got leverage strength, and they all have that. That's, the body type. And although Paulo Costa looks good, he's going to go out. He's going to throw haymakers at Adesanya. He's going to throw a lot of heat at him. And if he cannot catch him with one of those in the first 2 rounds, you saw what happened with him and Yoel Romero. He's going to burn out. And in a 5-round fight, say goodbye. It's over.
Yoel, back to Yoel, I think that if he uses his wrestling, he could potentially get Adesanya out of there quick.
If he used his wrestling.
Because if you look at some of the history when he fought, I want to say he fought, the fucking alligator. What was his name?
Jacare, yeah.
Jacare. When he fought Jacare, as soon as he got on top of Jacare, fight was done. Just nasty ground and pound.
No, that fight went 2 more rounds. Come on.
I thought he put him away and knocked him out.
No, you're thinking of Lyoto Machida.
Ah.
I did the Lyoto Machida fight, but Yoel Romero stood up for 2 rounds. And in the 3rd round, took Lyoto down and put him away. God. And you look and you go, why? Why are you doing that?
What happened? They refresh my memory with the Jacare fight.
Jacare in the 1st round, Yoel Romero hurt him, put him down, got on top of him, pounded the dog snot out of him, but the round ended. Jacare gets back up. He was hurt badly, gets back, goes to his corner, and then in a lot of people's minds, he wins the next 2 rounds. You could say that he didn't win the 2nd, okay? He definitely won the 3rd, and that's why everyone is looking at it saying, oh, Jacare won the fight. The 2nd is close. It's easy in the 1st, and it's easy in the 3rd. It's that 2nd round that's the determining factor on that fight. But, Jacare came back after Yoel had hurt him and was on top of him. And again, Yoel did not take him down to the ground after that.
Got it. I'm trying to remember that it must have been the Machida fight, because as soon as the fight hit the ground, I remember him just nasty ground and pound. The fight was done.
He hit him with some elbows, man.
Done.
It's like I couldn't move fast enough to stop that one.
But so my point is for him to be able to get in there, like you said, if he stays standing, he's tailor-made for Adesanya. If he goes in and mixes up the wrestling and gets to the top position, he could end up walking away with the title.
Oh, no doubt.
But how old is he? 44 now? 43?
42.
Somewhere in
42.
there. Not a lot of time left. And I even saw something the other day with Masvidal trying to basically push for him. Yeah, push for him to get his title shot because that's his boy.
Look at Jorge Masvidal, man. You talk about a guy that has been, had a very, good career, but had his high points, and then every time he got to that level, he'd get that loss. And all of a sudden, man, a couple of wins. He had that win against Till, and then that knockout against Ben Askren. People can say whatever they want about Ben Askren. He made a superstar out of Jorge Masvidal, which is awesome. George deserves it. He's a great guy.
Yep. I've known him for the longest time from Strikeforce days and being around. He's always been probably one of the most respected and most respectful guys I've ever been around. And considering we both fought in the same weight class for years, he always said I'd like to fight Josh, but he said it in a very respectful way. And I've always been like, man, fuck, I ain't fighting that dude. I was like, nah, give me somebody else. Fuck that. No way. I said the same thing about Antonio McKee. I remember before I got signed to the UFC, they kept trying to give me, every promotion was trying to get Antonio McKee matched up to fight. And they came to Bob Cook, I don't know how many times, hey, we have Antonio McKee, and he's like, nah, Josh better get signed to UFC. We're good. It's like, nah, we're good. We're not trying to have that type of fight right now. It was like one of those fights. There's certain guys, man, you just didn't want to fight, at certain times in your career. It's like, man.
Well, especially because when in fighting them, you knew how tough they were.
Yeah.
But you didn't get any credit if you beat them.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, you're supposed to beat them, and it's like, dude, you're talking about that is just a stone cold killer as far as what they do. Antonio may not have been exciting most of the time, but he was suffocating.
Yep.
You know,
that was my concern. My concern was being stuck on the bottom, just shooting submission after submission after submission and losing the rounds. And that was the problem because you knew. Look, I could stop maybe 1, maybe 2 takedowns, and as the fight went on, though, you weren't stopping him anymore. And I was like, man, this is gonna be one of them fights. If you don't get the submission, which I watched him compete too many times to realize.
How many people got the submission on Antonio?
Exactly, and that was the thing. And I was like, yeah, this ain't gonna happen, man. I'm good. I'm gonna pass. I'll just fight somebody else and sign my contract to the UFC at another time. I mean, what other fights were the Lorenz Larkin and Koreshkov fight?
Man, I thought that was a great fight. I love that fight, and it was that fight. You know, it was easy. Andrey won the first round. You know, Lorenz comes back, and Lorenz put on a freaking firestorm of shots on Andrey in the second round. He lit him up sometimes. Hit him with some big knees. I'll give Koreshkov credit, man. He took some shots and kept fighting. He was in trouble. I gave that round as a 10-8 to Lorenz Larkin, and every judge should have. They all didn't, but they all should have. 2 of them did, I believe. And it was a matter of the third round. And what I saw in the third round was Lorenz was trying to put Koreshkov away with the big shot. He was marching him down. Koreshkov is now diving for the takedown. He did a couple, up against cage, a couple knees, a couple body kicks that they each landed and stuff. But in the end, there was a guillotine attempt by Lorenz. At one point, it was good. It was probably about 3 to 4 seconds that, hey, that's tight. Koreshkov does the right thing, presses in, gets his neck where it's safe, and Lorenz realizes it, lets go of it, and they end up against the cage. And from that point, really, I got a guy in Koreshkov wrestling. He's putting both hands together. He's clasping his hands together, but he's around the waist as Larkin's got his back on the cage, and Larkin starts just hitting him with little shots, elbows to the head, and that's the difference. I got one guy that's doing what we call fighting, and one guy that is simply wrestling. Now, if you want to win this fight, you can wrestle. There comes a point, you got to let go of those hands and bring a shot up, do something that's showing you're trying to end this fight. You're trying to put this guy away. Yeah. And that never happened in the end, and that's why I gave the round to Larkin. I thought the right guy won.
Yeah, I think Lorenz is one of those guys that he had a little bit of a rough patch when he first came over from the UFC, came to Bellator, and he kind of had that Benson Henderson, like, he wanted the tough fights. They gave him the tough fights, and it didn't go his way when they first came over. And but I think now he's finally found his rhythm and his home, and I think he's going to get back on track. I mean, he wanted to fight all the top guys when he first got here, and they gave him to him. And he had a hard go, and then now he's finally dug his heels in, and I feel like he's found his home now. He's good. He's right where he needs to be. It's just going to take some time. Like, he's figuring out who these guys are. The hardest part for a guy to come from one promotion to the next, at least that's the way I felt every time I went from UFC to Pride to Strikeforce to Dream, was that when you're in your own organization, you watch the guys that you fight.
Yep.
Sure, you still watch the other organizations, but you don't follow those guys.
You also hear things.
Yes, very true.
You just do, and those little things sometimes. Oh, okay, and you start when you're going to train for that guy. You utilize that information, and that's good.
And
you're supposed to.
And those are things you don't always hear when you're fighting someone from another organization, because the buzz isn't around them. Like, I can give you guys, for instance, I'm in a room surrounded by Daniel Cormier, Cain, Koscheck, Fitch. All these guys were all in the UFC for years, and I was with the UFC before they got there. And when I came back and I was with them again, during that process when I was with Strikeforce, we never talked about like the guys that we were because I didn't know the guys they were fighting. I'm like, oh, you're fighting. I just didn't even care, Yep. And so it was kind of like UFC guys and Strikeforce guys. We were kind of like separate pages. It was like this group's on this. We were all teammates. We all trained together. We were all this. But like when it came to like promotional stuff, we all did our own thing because oh, you're on the other team. Oh, you're on the other team. It was like that. But when it comes down to the guys that leave another promotion, right, and then you go to that other organization, you have to make sure that you know who those guys are and how well do you really know them. And the reason why when I had first came back over to the UFC, they had offered me a couple guys that I had never heard of my first fight, and I said no. I just fought for the Strikeforce title, and I lost to Gil in a close split decision, and I said no. I want to give me a top 10 guy.
And they brought Gil over and put him against Benson.
Yeah, exactly, right? And I'm like,
yeah.
So then I said, okay, well then, it's only fair if that's going to be the case, then to give me somebody like Nate. And I asked for him specifically because I had seen him fight so many times. And
Who'd you ask for?
Nate Diaz. And I was a huge fan. He had just lost to Benson, and I was a huge fan. And I was like, look, these are the kind of fights. I knew who he was. I knew how he fought. I knew it was a tough fight, and that kind of motivated me and got me up. But what my point is when these guys come over from other organizations, you should try to ask for someone you've seen fight before or somebody who has a really shitty record, because you got to get that. You got to get that first fight in there, because that first fight's always the hardest. It's always the one that you think's not going to bother you, but it is. Look at when Quentin came over from Pride, right? Who did he fight? Marvin Eastman, I think was his first fight.
Yep.
He didn't look great. I mean, sure, he still won, but he didn't look phenomenal. I want to say in the second round he finished him, right?
Yeah, but did you ever see Quentin against Marvin the first time?
No, I didn't. I don't think so.
Okay. See, because I was there for both of them. I refereed one of them. But I was there for the first one, and I was in the crowd, and I'm watching, and I watch a guy. Quentin looked so funny because he had black shorts on, and he had white freaking athletic socks all pulled all the way up to his knees, and he's wearing wrestling shoes, right? And
was this King of the Cage?
This was.
Yes.
Marvin Eastman's wearing a wrestling singlet, right? And Marvin Eastman kicks Quentin in the head, no block at all, shin to dome. And I watched Quentin take a step back and look at him and shake his head and just come forward. I went, who the hell is that guy? Right? 3 times he got kicked in the head and just shook it off. And I was like, oh, dude, that dude's your worst nightmare, man. You can't hurt him.
That's
and then,
crazy.
Yeah, he had a great career and has done amazing. And everyone knows Quentin's got a granite for a chin. Man,
yes, he does.
But he's a funny dude.
Oh man, crazy stuff.
Yeah,
crazy.
In fact, it was you're right. Quentin in that when he came over, they wanted to put him against Chuck right away, and he didn't want that.
Yeah.
He did not want that at all. And then as soon as he beat Marvin, they said, no, you're going to fight Chuck, because Dana looked at it like, oh, I'm going to get Chuck his revenge match against Quentin. That never quite materialized.
Not the way they thought. Not the way they thought. Yeah, I mean, I've seen it. We've seen it from Benson when he came over. He had a rough patch. We've seen it with Larkin when he came over. He had a rough patch. I mean, outside of Roy McDonald just fighting a very smart fight against Paul Daly, he's probably the one that's had the most success that's come over right from the beginning. Even Gegard had a tough fight against Shlemenko, his first fight.
Oh, yeah.
That was a really tough fight. Actually, it was so close. It was one of those, you could have gave it either guy.
No, Gegard won it. So they got the right guy, but it was, again, Shlemenko wins the third round. And what do you remember? You remember that. And so I saw that guy winning at the end.
Well, it also didn't help that Gegard's eye was swollen shut.
Oh, yeah. He broke his orbital.
Yeah, so his eye was swollen shut, and the fact that he was still fighting was fucking impressive. And I thought he had a phenomenal win, and that was a good win for him. He considered it was his first fight there, and then the rest is history. I mean, he came on to be world champion, and, but yeah, I mean, those were just guys that are coming over. It's not always the easiest, and they've got to make sure that they try to pick guys that they can fight.
And the whole point is this, and this is where guys just lose it. The top guys, I don't care what organization they're in, they can fight with anybody.
Yeah.
They are absolutely. It's little tiny differences that makes that difference in getting the win or coming away with a loss. It's not this, I have this UFC patch on my, lapel longer than you. Don't mean anything, man. It's about that night, you better be prepared, because when you're looking at the top 5, 6, 7, 8 in any organization, on any given night, they can beat anybody in the world.
Let's like shift gears.
I'm shifting. Let's go.
I wanted to talk to you about this because he's one of my closest friends, and I wanted to get your figure. Anthony Johnson returning at heavyweight.
Yeah.
A good chance, or if it's not already been signed, he's fighting Ngannou, his first fight. Does that put him with a win over Ngannou? Does that put him as the next title shot?
First off, you're giving him a win against Ngannou. Why?
I don't know yet.
You're thinking that way. I can see it.
No, I'm giving him the win because I feel that his punches are straighter. He throws his punches straighter. I think that he's potentially. I've never really worked or done anything with Ngannou. I've trained a lot with AJ.
Mm-hmm.
He's extremely fast. But
yeah.
Will he be as fast carrying that weight? That's two. That scares me a little bit.
No.
But he still has that fast twitch.
Yes, he does.
Straight punches. Will he get to Ngannou's chin before
Ngannou gets to his?
That's the question.
Here's the one question for you. How many people have finished Ngannou?
I don't know. I don't think anyone has.
No. Now you had a really horrible fight.
Yeah.
Against
Stipe.
Well, that one was he got a glaring weakness was exposed.
Yeah.
All right. And now maybe Anthony would look at that and say, hey, that might be part of what I want to do, because at one time Anthony tried to out-wrestle DC. Okay. Well, let's go back to it.
Yeah.
I did both of those, and it was like, in the second one, I'm like, what's going through my head is, what in the world are you thinking?
Yeah.
You are a guy that can put anybody out at any time with your hands, and you are playing into this man's game. You have to work harder to keep doing this than he does to stop it. And that's just not a good game plan when you're a guy that is known to start to gas out a little bit. But I look at Ngannou, he had a bad fight against Stipe. He had a bad fight against Derek Lewis, where he didn't do anything. He didn't pull the trigger. And then he's come back and he's had some big wins, because if I sat here right now and told you, Josh, I'm going to put Cain Velasquez against Anthony Johnson, who are you going to pick? You're going to pick Cain.
Yeah.
And who did Ngannou just beat?
Yeah.
All right. So now look, I'm not saying that Anthony can't beat him, but that's a tall order coming back off of a very long layoff. That is not what I would, if I was in Anthony's camp, if I was someone that was trying to take care of him, that is not the fight I would put him in the first go. I would absolutely put him in against someone, not so much to elevate his status. I would put him in that to get him back into competition without putting him in against somebody that can hit like he can hit.
So that goes back to when you negotiate your contract, though, when back in the day, AJ said, look, yeah, I'm willing to come back, but for $1 million.
Well,
that puts you, when you're getting paid, let's just assume, I'll make the assumption he's coming back. He's coming back at heavyweight. And
okay. Well, he can't get down. It would take him forever to get back down
to 205.
Right? And he fought, let's be honest, AJ has fought at heavyweight.
Yeah.
All right. He had a fight against Andrey Arlovsky when he was in the World Series of Fighting.
Yeah.
So he's fought at heavyweight, I think, on multiple occasions, and so it's not a bad weight class for him.
No.
But he is carrying at least 40 more pounds of weight, if not more, right now. If he stepped in the cage, that's a lot of weight. Your heart doesn't grow in size; it just grows in the amount of blood it's got to pump to all that muscle.
And let's not be mistaken, he's never been a cardio king, okay?
Exactly.
So now you've added that much more muscle and that much more weight on you. It's a little bit harder to keep the pace. Yeah, look, I'm excited to see. I think if the money is what it is, that's the reason why he said he would eventually come back. And if that's why he's back, I can see why they're telling him they want him to fight Ngannou first. I would like to honestly see him fight someone like Derek Lewis. That would be I'd rather see that be a first fight than him and Ngannou. And then Derek Lewis has got heavy hands, not the best takedown defense.
He does
but
have
it's a
heavy
fun
hands,
fight.
But he doesn't have speed.
No, but it would be a fun fight.
Oh, it'd be a fun fight.
Yeah.
AJ's way faster
Yeah.
than Derek. And, look at Derek, especially if he gets on top of you, he's nasty, he's dangerous. But a guy that has speed and footwork can do a lot of damage to Derek while he's in the stand-up. And AJ, that would be a much better fight for him. And so, hey, all right, take $500,000 instead of the $1 million. It's a good payday, and then get yourself into that $1 million structure with guys like Ngannou and Stipe and them.
True. I guess, maybe he just takes less of the first fight, like you're saying, and then moves on up to the next pay scale.
It's not about, it's where do you want to be? You got to have a plan, all right? And if you don't have to always jump 3 spaces to get ahead, that's where I want to be. Sometimes hitting each one of those stones and putting your mark down on it gets you where you want to be, so when you are there, you're prepared and you can take that further step beyond. Don't be in a hurry. Being in a hurry sometimes is going to be a very negative thing in the impact it has on your career.
You mean there's no get rich fast plan? I thought that was I thought that was out there.
Yeah, it's out there somewhere.
Yeah. We haven't figured it out yet.
That's it.
All right, my man. Is there anything else?
Now I'll see you in Milan. We got a lot of good fights, good kickboxing fights, and we got Gabriel Varga, the champ, who's putting his title on the line against Faustino, who's a good fighter. I think Gabriel is the better fighter in that, but we also get to see Chinga, Chingiz Alazov. I can't even say his name now, but he is a monster. You're going to love watching him. That dude is a beast. I think as an amateur, he was like, I could be wrong, let's say 268-4 as an amateur. As a pro, he's now, I think, 59. Yeah. Hey, the guy he's fighting, so has had 343 professional fights. All right? And he's 33 years of age, and you figure this one out. If he started when he was 16, which I know he started fighting earlier than that professionally, but we don't want to talk about what they do in Thailand. But even at that, that's like 20 fights a year for this whole time. That's an active man.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think that that's what those guys do. It's almost like the fighting is just the regular sparring session for them at the gym.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Same thing.
I think that those guys normally just fight at their normal walk-around weight. They're not trying to cut weight. Maybe like a pound or two, but...
Oh, they cut.
You think
they cut?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they cut. I'm telling you right now.
I wouldn't be doing that weekly. F that. You're out of your damn mind.
Never get to eat any of that good stuff.
No. All right, guys. Well, hey, make sure you guys tune in. We are on Paramount this week coming up for the Milan, Italy show. If you guys get opportunity and chance, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, SoundCloud, Google Play, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Hit those subscribe buttons also on the YouTube channel. Hit the thumb up. The thumb up shares our video to everyone else that follows MMA and likes sports, boxing, combative sports. That'll share our videos to them since we're talking about MMA as well as boxing on some occasions, because Big John is the man that knows about the boxing quite a bit more than I.
We didn't talk about Triple G, but
we didn't. Time. Yeah, next time we should.
It's all right. It's all good.
I heard it was. We'll have to. I actually have to. I haven't had a chance to watch the fight, so that's why we gotta.
Derevyanchenko going to the body.
I heard it was a great fight.
I thought he beat him. I thought Triple G did not win that fight. It was close, but in the end, Derevyanchenko, man, that guy, he deserved that fight. It's different when you're watching it on, the TV and you get all the angles. The judges don't get that, but he did. Triple G had a knockdown in the first round. That's a 10-8 round. That's basically what he won by. But, man, I'm telling you what, you could see. The body shots he was taking were killing him. He was going backwards, and you don't see Triple G go backwards.
No.
I'm telling you, awesome fight. Awesome fight.
All right, I'm going to have to watch it now. We're going to have to break it down next time we talk. All right, guys. Well, hey, make sure you guys follow Big John also. What is it?
Oh, John McCarthy MMA on Instagram and Twitter. And, hey, ask us questions.
Yep.
I think we need to do another fan question day. Get those things. We'll answer those off.
Yeah, I enjoy those because then
they're fun.
Yeah, I enjoy them because I like to see all the trash talk people give me. So I love it. All right, guys. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in. And like I said, hit the thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. And please share our videos. I appreciate it. Thank you. See you guys later.
Later.